Let's go to the second section of part 6, which is about resources and communities. So let's look at the TensorFlow documentation and tutorials. Now, while you're working on it, it's very important to get all this information because everything that we cover here might not be available. Also, there's updates. So TensorFlow offers a wealth of documentation and tutorials to help users learn and master its various functionalities. Here's a deeper dive into TensorFlow documentation and tutorials along with where you can find them online. So the TensorFlow documentation has official website where the primary source of the documentation is the official TensorFlow website. Here you can find comprehensive documentation covering TensorFlow APIs, concepts, guides, and best practices. The next place that I would probably go is API documentation. TensorFlow API documentation provides detailed information about classes, functions, modules, and parameters within TensorFlow's Python API. You can navigate the API documentation from the TensorFlow website or directly from Python using the help function or by browsing the source code. The last one is the GitHub repository, which is my favorite, where TerraFlow source code and documentation are hosted, and you can access the TensorFlow GitHub repository here to explore the documentation, contribute to the project, and access additional resources. For TensorFlow tutorials, if you want to learn more on it, the official tutorials are available with TensorFlow. TensorFlow offers a wide range of official tutorials covering various machine learning and deep learning topics. You can find these tutorials on the TensorFlow's tutorial page of the official website. They are organized by topic and difficulty level, making it easy for users to find tutorials relevant to their interest and expertise. Next is the GitHub repository. Again, the TensorFlow's GitHub repository contains a collection of tutorial notebooks and code samples. You can access these tutorials by browsing the TensorFlow/TensorFlow repository on GitHub and exploring the TensorFlow examples directory. Last one is the Google Colab. Many TensorFlow tutorials are available as interactive Google Colab notebooks, allowing users to run and experiment with code directly in their browsers. You can access these Colab notebooks from the official TensorFlow website or GitHub repository. For additional resources, you can go to TensorFlow blog. TensorFlow's official blog publishes articles, tutorials, case studies, and updates on TensorFlow related news, research, and developments. You can access the TensorFlow blog here to stay informed about the latest TensorFlow advancements and best practices. Next we have is the community contributions. TensorFlow has a vibrant community that contributes additional tutorials, guides, and resources covering niche topics and advanced techniques. You can find community contributed tutorials and resources on platforms like GitHub, Medium, personal blogs, and community forums. The last one is the online course and learning platforms. There are various online courses, learning platforms, and educational websites that offer tutorials, TensorFlow tutorials, and resources as part of their machine learning and deep learning curriculum. Examples include Coursera, Udacity, EDX, and others. The last topic is about the TensorFlow documentation updates. TensorFlow regularly updates its documentation to reflect changes in APIs, new features, and best practices. Users should refer to the latest version of the documentation to ensure they have access to the most up-to-date information. The current recording is done in January of 2024, so there might be updates to this particular version. Users can provide feedback, report issues, and contribute to improving TensorFlow documentation by submitting pull requests, raising GitHub issues, or participating in community discussions. In summary, TensorFlow documentation and tutorials are valuable resources for users looking to learn TensorFlow, explore its capabilities, and build machine learning models and applications. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced practitioner, you can find a wealth of information and resources online to help you leverage TensorFlow effectively for your projects and applications.